someone new, bring a bit of youth to that team. I mean, I know Tafati's a bit older.
Sorry,
See, I'm just a consummate professional, and I've now turned chat off because I know you're just going to slag me off the whole time. Hello and welcome to the Cricket Nerds podcast. I'm Benji and I'm joined today by James. How are you doing, James?
Sterling, mate.
Paul Sterling. And by Zach. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Yeah.
Excellent. So we're continuing going through our list of IPL auction predictions. And this podcast, we're looking at Royal Challengers Bangalore and the Lucknow Supergiants. So, I mean, Zach's been itching for us to talk about RCB. So, Zach, kick us off. What do you want to say about RCB?
Well, to give the context, we've retained Virat Kohli, which is always going to happen, Glenn Maxwell, and the surprise for most people of Mohammad Siraj as a fast bowler. I think we picked him because I think we've seen with all teams is that they've liked to keep their fast bowlers because although India have some good fast bowlers, there aren't that many out-and-out express pace Indian players, and that's always a useful person to have. So having Siraj in the team is really good. We've obviously lost AB de Villiers, which is really sad. I think everyone will miss seeing his presence in the IPL. So we need someone to replace him. And another overseas, I thought of some overseas players that we could have for AB de Villiers, and they would be either Nick Pooran or Liam Livingston in that similar mold of just absolute destruction on their day, just whether they can replicate the consistency that AB de Villiers had as a match winner. I think we're missing a captain. Do any of you have any suggestions, maybe James, on who do you think we could have as a captain?
I think someone that would look really good in an RCB shirt. I was about to joke and I was about to say David Warner. But
I thought
that could happen. But I think someone that really embodies RCB's like whole vibe and look would be Shreyas Iyer. I think, you know, they're like an anchor, and he is an anchor, sort of number 4, number 3. He plays some really nice cricket shots, and he's had a lot of experience captaining with Delhi, and he did well with them. So I think Shreyas Iyer could be a really good purchase for RCB for a captain.
Yeah,
I was really impressed with some of the players towards the end of RCB that came through. KS Barrett was one of them. Now, I'd actually quite like to see RCB pick up Barrett again because he was great behind the stumps as a keeper and he played some really important knocks as well. I think what RCB are probably missing is an out-and-out spin bowler. Last year they had Hasaranga in the setup with Washington Sundar and Chahal as well. Yeah, Yuva Chahal sort of supporting that. So, I mean, they're missing that as well. So they're missing some sort of out-and-out spin bowling class. So maybe someone like an Adil Rashid might be fantastic for that spot. I'd quite like to see. I was going to say Akshar Patel, but he's been taken. Maybe get Washington Sundar back into the setup. Someone who's had that experience, you know, playing on a national stage. Maybe even somebody like Krunal Pandya could possibly fit into that setup as well. You know, I know he's been more of a Mumbai type of player, but could fit into that RCB setup too.
Yeah, I think the spin bowling all rounder is a big one. Like Chennai Super Kings will come to them for the next podcast, but they've got someone like Moeen Ali as a spin bowling all rounder who can win game with both bat and ball, and someone like Krunal Pandya could fill that gap. But I like Adil Rashid. He'll be good. Or just go back to Yuzvendra Chahal. He knows the Chinnaswamy Stadium well. He knows how to bowl in those conditions. And I think if we were going to retain a fourth one, which I'm surprised we didn't, I thought we would retain Chahal because of how much he's given to the club over the last however many years. The The other thing is death bowling. That's been Royal Challengers thing since the creation of Royal Challengers, is the death bowling. And last year, Harshal Patel was awesome. And if we can get him back, I would be so happy. But if we can't, even someone like Natarajan, who's played for Sunrisers Hyderabad, he's a class Indian death bowler. So getting an Indian death bowler would be much, it would be well received. Let's put it that way.
I think you're going to have to work quite hard to replace AB. I think even though AB de Villiers didn't always, like, he wasn't 100% consistent. Like, he'd have quite a few games where he'd get a duck or something, but there was always that fear factor of the middle order. Like, teams were never complacent where they were like, right, cool, we've got Kohli out, now we can relax a bit. It's like, no, you've got Maxwell, no, you've got AB. So I think to replace AB, you're going to actually need you're going to need a few finishers. So I could see you guys bidding for, I think KS Barrett's a good shout. I could see potentially going for a Shahrukh Khan. I think he could go for quite big money. And he bowls a bit of dodgy off spin when he wants to. And yeah, I build him to be like a big player at the start of last season. And I think he could go for quite big money. He turned down the opportunity to stay at Punjab Kings, which, I mean, it hurt my feelings, but I could see why. And he could get some really big money, I reckon.
I mean, if you want death bowling, there are two names that spring to my mind. And I was holding these back because I wanted to say them for Chennai on our next podcast. But Mark Wood and Jason Holder. Now, Mark Wood, both of them probably won't be available for the late stages of the tournament, because it'll be when England are starting to prepare for their tour of New Zealand. New Zealand touring England is at that point. So it seems like a lot of Ben Stokes has withdrawn himself from the IPL auction this year so that he can focus on the England Red Ball game. So any big England names who might be in that test squad in the English summer, you might not see towards the end of the
IPL
playoffs. That's what I'm on about, the playoffs, and like
I'll cut that out. Don't worry, mate.
Stages. The knockouts, you won't. The knockout stages, but like, yeah. So Jason Holder or Mark Wood might really help as well, fit into that RCB setup. Both of them having fantastic T20 World Cups too.
Cool. Should we move on to think about Lucknow Supergiants, one of the other new franchises? They've bought Marcus Stoinis, who we've talked about in our last video. KL Rahul, who is a very, very good player, top run scorer of a few IPLs, and Ravi Bishnoi, who is a very economical wicket-taking right-arm leg break bowler. So thoughts on what they need?
Well, again, we've said it over and over again. Seam. They need seam bowlers. I can see a few names and seam and Indian seamers too. A few names that might spring to mind. Yeah, that many. No, we've got Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, we've got Nathan Ranjan. We've mentioned them already, haven't we? But like Bhuvi, he's a bit homeless. He's been released from Sunrisers, obviously. Sardal Thakur and Deepak Chahar as well are two of the guys that could get picked up for a new team. I mean, I'd love to see Sardal Thakur come back into CSK, but whether they're going to get outbid by the new team, you just don't know, do you? But it's that seam bowling options. I mean, the other options is that they go for overseas, so they might try to pick up sort of a Josh Hazlewood, a Lockie Ferguson, a Pat Cummings, even one of those type of players who does that real express pace fast bowling, because that's really what they're missing, aren't they? Really.
Let's not forget that there are a few up and coming Indian players as well that have shown themselves. They sort of stood up and really put their hands up last couple of seasons, like Avesh Khan, Chetan Sakaria. Yeah, really, there are some quite exciting young fast bowlers. that Lucknow could, probably splash out on a bit. And I think it's going to be a good idea to get some decent pace bowlers, some good young Indian talent if you can, because obviously, the retention rules will be different at the end of this season. So people are starting to build a bit more of a core again. So, these are the new look teams, and they should probably last a little bit of time.
Yes, mixed in with the youth and inexperience. You want that experience, because if you remember back to when it was a year that Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals weren't actually in the tournament because of match fixing, and they were replaced by
Rising Pune
Supergiants and Gujarat Lions, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, Gujarat Lions.
And what you saw is that the Rising Pune Supergiants, they ended up getting to the final, and they had a very experienced team led by MS Dhoni. I think they had Ben Stokes in there, maybe even Steve Smith. They had a very experienced team, whereas the Gujarat Lions, although they had a few experienced players, it wasn't as experienced. And I think if you're a new team coming in, you need that experience to be able to take your foot further, because you need players who are used to winning tournaments. And what they've got at the moment, Marcus Stoinis, he's used to winning tournaments in Australia, I think, with the Melbourne Stars. K.R. Rahul used to winning tournaments with India. Ravi Bishnoi is the young one. So they have a bit of experience there, but I think that's what they need. So Benji mentioned Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. I think would be an excellent purchase for them to get that experienced seam bowler in their ranks.
You're forgetting Stoinis has come off the back of a World Cup win as well.
Yeah, true.
Which, so he's got that winning thing as well. Here's the thing. In the IPL auction, did you know that to be an uncapped player, it just means you've not played a T20 international?
Yeah.
I didn't know this. So I've been looking at the cap section the whole time to get a lot of these ideas for these auctions. But there are some real names of people that were quite significant in previous IPLs in this uncapped section. We've not mentioned quite a lot of these players. So Ryan Parag, where's he going to live? Raul Tavatia, those are two players that were really key players in there. Do you think they could be looking for sort of a Lucknow type of team, sort of to go somewhere new, bring a bit of youth to that team? I mean, I know Tavati's a bit older.
Sorry,
See, I'm just a consummate professional, and I've now turned chat off because I know you're just going to slag me off the whole time. Right,
that's been really good. That's been RCB and Lucknow. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to follow us on all social medias at Cricket Nerds Pod. Tune in for the next one, which will be Rajasthan Royals and Chennai Super Kings. So we'll see you guys on the flippity flip.
Not saying it.